Hello. Hey, Tito. Hello, Andres. Hello. So we're doing Q&A today and every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We are live. We are rolling. All is well here. So how are you, man? We did a great masterclass for those Brazilian trombonists a few weeks ago. A really great resource. Check them out. SGNA on the chat here. A great Brazilian trombone masterclass in Portuguese. So if you are a Portuguese language speaker and you want to hear all the same stuff I always say, but in Portuguese, you might go and check out that masterclass. Joshua, how are you? We're doing Q&A here, so feel free to drop in some questions. Spefile Zungu, I'm glad to see this. Yeah, glad to have you on the stream today. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm going to go ahead and start talking about a few things that are happening while we get some questions coming in from all of our various sources. If you haven't yet started the Rhythm Changes course, the Rhythm Changes course is still available. It's officially launched. We've got all the parts are uploaded and into the teachable.com studio. So if you're interested in checking that out, feel free to head over to nickfinzer.store and you can find all the links there. Go to the website, whatever. Instagram bio. All the places, wherever you want to go for that Instagram course and Instagram course. What am I talking about? Rhythm Changes course. What's up, Joe? What's up, Will? What's up, Fabrice? Hope everybody is having a nice Friday. And so feel free to drop in your questions here in the chat, in the comments, and we'll get those. But yes, we have Rhythm Changes course. We have the Jazz Trombone Boot Camp happening in June. So the Jazz Trombone Boot Camp is happening in June 14 through 18. We've got a lot of great guests. Andre Hayward, we've got Michael Davis, we've got Steve Davis, we've got Vincent Gardner. It's going to be a heck of a good time. So if you want 4 or 5 days of intense jazz trombone learning, it's about 4 or 5 hours a day, and that's available at nickfinzer.store. So we'll do that. But it's one of those things that if you don't get there, you're going to wish you had been. Masterclasses with all those great people. Andre Hayward, Vincent Gardner, Steve Davis, Michael Davis, really just tippy top of the top. Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, Rolling Stones, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. You don't get much better credibility than that. So we're also going to be joined by 2 wonderful TAs, students of mine, DJ Rice and Jack Courtwright. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I see some questions coming in, so we can kind of turn to that. Got the microphone set up to play a little bit if we have time for that. But let's go to Instagram first for some questions from Ethan. When you were trying to learn a lot of tunes at a time, would you go one at a time until it was solid, or would you chip on a few at a time, building them up together? Sorry, your question is cut off. It's a little too long. That's a good question. Welcome, Gavin. Stradivarius. Jack Timmons. What's happening? Okay, so I think there's multiple schools of thought on this, but I think you can really pretty much only focus on one thing at a time, ultimately. So I would pick 1 or 2 tunes per week. And I know it seems like maybe that's impossible, but 1 or 2 tunes per week and go deep, not wide with those tunes. And then have like a repository of tunes where you're practicing them on a regular basis, meaning like there's 1 or 2 that you're learning, and then there's 4 or 5 other ones that you're reviewing every week, and you're playing in different keys, kind of extending the practice shelf life of those things, so you don't get too bored too quickly. Because I know that's like a big thing, is like burnout on a tune. Like in our studio, we were working on giant steps or train changes or countdown, depending on the student. And like after 2 weeks, it's kind of like, do I really want to hear this anymore? So giant steps. So anyway, that's what I would do, Ethan, is, sorry, I just realized that your thing doesn't say Ethan, etha.endo. Sorry about that. Having just like a variety of tunes. There's a bass player named Clovis Nicholas in New York. He always talked about having like 7 tunes or 6 or 7 tunes in his repertoire. Maybe it was 14. Maybe it was 6, and he would practice 2 per key, 2 tunes. 2 tunes. No, 6 tunes, 2 keys per day. So you would cover 12 keys in 6 days. Sorry, it took me a minute to figure that math out. So he's got 6 tunes he's working on. Oh my God. Yeah, 6 tunes, 2 keys per day, something like that. Man, ugh. Sorry. Okay, confusing answer. All right, DJ asked tips for developing lead chops. Play a lot of lead trombone. Play along with records. That's all you can do. Build up your endurance. Find out how you want to play. Find some people that you like the way they play lead and try to imitate them. That's what I would do. How do I play trombone? You already know the answer to that question. All right, I see some questions over here from YouTube. Brian, do people really play 6 hours every day? Yes. What's a question you wish people would ask you more, and what's your answer to that question? Question I wish people asked me more. That is an interesting question. What question do I wish more people asked? I know the ones that I wish that they didn't ask, but let me think about one that I wish they would ask. I guess I wish they would ask more about specifics rather than generalities in kind of a big picture, like specifics about thinking beyond the trombone, because we kind of get caught up in our little trombone land, and like, oh, trombone does this, and we need to get the trombone in front of more people because people don't know that the trombone can be a wonderful instrument that sounds and plays wonderfully and can connect with people. People might think it's brash or blary or just like glissandos and not a good instrument to listen to. So I think like all of us banding together to improve the overall reputation of the instrument in the general public will allow everyone to have more opportunity. So I think sometimes we just get too narrow, and I wish people would think more about how they can worry less about playing high notes or lead and more about how they can play music that connects with people and puts the trombone in the front, puts the trombone as something that people want to listen to, people want to think about, just like they would a saxophone or anything else. That's what I think. So hopefully that that will lead to more people getting out there and just playing trombone in a way that gets more people to like the instrument rather than thinking of it as a novelty, because it's not a novelty. There's lots of very serious players of the instrument, and they're doing a lot of interesting music and important music, I think. So get this out of the shot here. Okay, so feel free to drop in some more questions. I see one more from Brian on this Friday. What's up, Alex? What's up, Daniel? Lenoir. It's Friday, April 2nd, if you're just joining or you're watching this later. Brian says, if you had to pick 5 to 10 people to represent jazz trombone in the 21st century, who would you pick? Oh, man. 21st century, so 2000 and later. Wycliffe Gordon, Steve Davis, Marshall Gilks, Ryan Keberly, maybe a lesser known person, but Dion Tucker, James Burton, Willie Applewhite. I'm going to keep going. Michael Deese, of course. I think some guys that maybe even are younger than me, like Andy Clausen, and out on the West Coast, there's some great players as well. I'm thinking kind of New York centrically, but that was already more than 5 to 10. 5 to 10. But I think someone like Michael Deese, Marshall, Keberly, people that are putting out projects of original music frequently. I think Andre Hayward, Vincent Gardner, Chris Crenshaw, Elliot Mason, all those guys are doing the same. I think Elliot Mason also defines the 21st century of trombone too. I think that what defines it all is this kind of elevated level of harmonic sophistication and technical execution, basically. It's kind of like the next step beyond JJ, like JJ had a lot of technical ability, but not in the way that Elliot does. you know, or Elliot or Marshall or Michael Deese, you know. It's just like on a whole next level. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's a group. I mean, there's a lot of people. Like I said, there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool things, and I wouldn't be afraid to, you know, check out all of the cool things people are doing in all different parts of the country. You know, I'm very, I guess, New York focused, but yeah, there's a lot of things happening on the West Coast, and people that I don't even know about it, finding them on Instagram. There's some people, a bunch of great trombonists in Europe, like Nils Wogram, and I mean, these guys might be older, Ilya Reingold and Mark Nightingale, and those cats are older probably, but yeah, man. Lenoir, thanks for the positive affirmation. Ramsey, hello. All right, what else we got here for questions? Talking about tunes, talking about people that define the 21st century of trombone. It's an interesting question, man. If you're looking for new music to check out this week, speaking of Michael Deese, he's on Ulysses Owens' new record, and a new single came out today called Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. So if you're looking for stuff to dig into, Ulysses Owens, who's I got to plug, you know, the things coming out on our label, Outside in Music. So got to do that. I think I'm going to make sure I don't miss anybody else. I can pull up the calendar here while we're talking about it. Yeah. So we've got, Ulysses' singles today. Harlem, 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 if you want to check that out. A lot of big, cool things coming. Stephen Feifke and his big band, their record, drops next Friday. Lots of big projects at Outside in Music coming up, so that's good. Getting back into doing consulting as the school year is winding down, the semester is winding down. So if you are interested in, you know, like music marketing, music business consulting, building up your brand on social media, those type of things, I'm booking sessions for those now. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. No pressure at all, but yeah. All right, from DJ, he says, with music getting more innovative and intricate, do you think a simpler jazz album that only have head charts, head solos, head has a chance to stand out? Well, it depends who you ask, I suppose. If you ask the critics, maybe not. If you ask the players, I think so. I think we all enjoy a really well executed straight ahead record. I mean, I know I do. I think that just putting in a little bit more effort beyond head solo, head solo head can be beneficial. I think, I think a lot of people are making more like project based, more like landscape kind of based tunes and compositions and integrating different sounds and stuff. I mean, but you should do what's true to you. I mean, I think if it's just head solo head, I mean, that works for one or two tunes, but I would try to switch it up probably. If I was going to say, if your job is to stand out, I think being a little bit more thoughtful is important. What's the Lenoir? What's the for? I think if you play great, though, it's going to stand out no matter what. You know, that's the thing that really it all comes back to is like no matter how sophisticated the composition, no matter how tricky you are in the production, you know, like it's not going to be good unless you play well. You know, what's up, Tony? What's up, G. Schneider, Thomas Steele? Thanks for joining. Let's see, Anthony. Hi, Anthony. Yes, Mike Deese has a great new record out. It's an organ trio, quartet, organ. It's an organ record. It's killing. And he says it's really crazy how so many artists are releasing so many new albums this year. Yeah, everyone's getting on board. They're getting the message. They're getting music out. They know like the turnaround time is shorter than ever for making sure you got new music out. The press cycle is shorter and shorter because people's attention spans are shorter and shorter and shorter. For better or for worse. What are you going to do? Can't do much about that. Brian says, what's the coolest gig you've ever played? Coolest players you've ever met? I posted it today. Curtis Fuller. That was the best like guest artist experience, or like Slide, Curtis, just like those legends to me, you know. I never got to meet JJ. He passed away before I even got serious about jazz or trombone. So, you know, so JJ, but yeah, the Curtis, I posted on my Instagram and on my Facebook a picture with Curtis that popped up as a memory. It was actually from October of 2010, but I don't know why I must have posted it for some reason today, 10 years ago, which is crazy that it was that long ago. Grad school. It feels like it just finished, but yeah, so I don't know. Those are some people. Well, who did you talk to about, this is interesting. Who did you talk to about jazz, trombone, and music before you met more people after high school? I was really lucky. I had a group that I played with on Saturdays, which was a collection of jazz musicians, high school age jazz musicians in Rochester. It was called, the band was called the Eastman, it was at Eastman, and it was called the Eastman Youth Jazz Orchestra. So in the Eastman Youth Jazz Orchestra, we used to get together and play Duke's music, and then we ended up that very first year I was in it going to New York for Essentially Ellington and all this kind of stuff. So we focused on that music, and that really got me in touch with a lot of people that were just focused on playing jazz. And when I say jazz, I mean swing, Ellington, transcribing solos, digging into the harmony, learning tunes. And some of the first gigs came through that. Some of my first performance opportunities of like real, like swing, blues, jazz, like real stuff, like through that. You know, my high school program, we had a jazz band, but it kind of was like a cross between a jazz band and like a stage band, you know, like more focused on the execution of charts than improvisation and stuff like that, which is okay. Nothing wrong with it. But that's where I really got my feet wet, hands dirty, whatever thing we want to say here. Oh, I see some new people joining. I'm going to get to their questions here before we get to some of these. I see Jack is here. Jack, the aforementioned Jack, who will be on our Jazz Trombone Boot Camp, finalist for the ITA, which competition? JJ Johnson competition. A fine young player. He said, oops, it's gone already. What are your favorite live records? What do you like or dislike about live records compared to studio records? I love live records because it's just like what was happening. That's what I like. I mean, even in the studio, I try to go with full takes, and I try to go with non-editing of solos, because I feel like it just gives a more raw vibe, and it gives a more interactive vibe, and it gives a more well-rounded picture of what the band is really doing, really saying, and what the music is quote unquote supposed to sound like as intended, you know, from start to finish. Not to say it can't be done other ways, because it certainly can. Some of my favorite live records. Let's see. My favorite faux live record has got to be JJ in person. But I mean, I like that Vanguard record he did because, you know, that's one. I'm trying to think of, like, there's lots of live records, but like Live at the Plug Nickel is really interesting. It's really interesting to, you know, watch live videos of like more and more of those like videos from the late 80s and 90s that are popping up on YouTube to see how people play, to see how those bands worked together. I find that to be super interesting. But just live records. There's lots of live records that are coming out recently. But I mean, the only thing is the sound sometimes suffers. But to me, that's not super important. I don't know if it's not important, but it's not as important to me as the authenticity of the expression. But yeah, so Trevor just said Sonny Rollins. Yeah, those are great. I guess I don't have a specific one. I mean, there's a live record from Gil Evans' project that's really good. Ryan Truesdale, and there's Maria Jazz Standard, her Jazz Standard record. Stephen Feifke's here. Hi, Stephen. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not really that. Sorry, that wasn't a great answer. But there's a lot of good live records. But that's kind of what the trade-offs is always sound versus vibe. And to me, the vibe is always more important. Even if it's like a little leaky or there's some wrong notes, you know, leaky meaning sound leaky. Yeah. Glenn Mills, any advice for keeping your place in a drum solo, particularly after someone starts talking to you? Oh man. You just got to count, man. hopefully the drummer will bring you in too. Depends on what the tune is, I suppose. But you have to keep track on your own. Just don't let people talk to you. You should be listening to the drummer. If you're looking at the drummer, they probably won't talk to you anyway. So if they know that you're focused in on keeping your spot, yeah. But yeah, don't let people talk to you, I guess. It's really easy to lose place. Like you're counting along and then they flip the beat around and do something really cool and you're like, oh no, well, where's the beat? It happens all the time. So I wouldn't be too discouraged by that fact because it happens to all of us, I think, at some point. Yeah, that's a funny question though. Excellent. Okay, now there's some questions over here on Instagram, so I'm going to pull these up from Aiden Drake. Best ways to improve style and vocabulary improvising. Oh, that's an easy one. Transcribe, play with the original recording. That's the best way to improve your style, your feel, your vocabulary, and to get into the flow of what it feels like to really play a good improvised solo. So, go to someone who plays super clear, simple. Someone clear is J.J. Johnson, very clear. Sometimes he plays a little fast, but all of his solos are very clear. And go to someone like that. Go to someone like Miles Davis on So What, Curtis on Blue Train. There's a fast part, so maybe just leave that part out. But and play along. That's the most important part. And record yourself playing along and then listen back to back, A/B it. So you're like, okay, did I sound exactly like Curtis? Is my articulation the same? Is my vibe the same? Are my decorations the same? Is the notes the same? I mean, that's pretty obvious, but the rhythms and notes has to come first. And then from there, you can get all the style. But that's the most clearest, fastest, best way is just plowing ahead and doing solo, transcriptions, baby. Lots of them. Benjamin Fraser says, have you ever heard the live J.J. Johnson album Live in Yokohama 93? I have. Yes. That's a great one. There's also a great Slide Hampton record that's live it's called Melody. It's live in the Netherlands, I think, somewhere. That one's great too. Sorry, now I'm just thinking of all the live records after Jack asked, especially trombone records. Okay, Aiden, there you go. There's one from Lenoir. He says, what motivates you to keep going? Good question. What motivates me to keep going? Just the eternal striving for, creating, the impact that you want to create, with your music and reaching people. And did JJ orchestrate what big band record? Which one? He wrote a lot of the arrangements. Just his big band record, you mean? He wrote all those arrangements, for sure. And he did the brass orchestra, that one too. He did all of those. I lost my train of thought. Oh, motivation. Yeah, that's it. Trying to just like actually reach the thing in my head that I thought of when I was 13 years old and got on stage at like Alice Tully Hall when I was in 10th grade and was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to do this, so that's why. What's up, Alton? Thanks for joining. Yeah, J.J. Johnson did all kinds of stuff, man. He was he orchestrated for like movies and stuff too. He moved to the West Coast and stopped playing for more than 10 years. So people have, chapters to their career, chapters to their story, as it were. All right. Here's a question. What are some crucial warm-up / fundamental exercises that you've borrowed from other people that may be uncommon or unknown? Oh man. Yeah. I borrowed this from James Burton and, I think via Michael Deese, I think. So basically it's like skipping partials. So like you'd go B flat, F, and then you go A flat, E flat. So I call them like out of order, kind of like lip slurs, out of order lip slurs. And so we go ba dee do dee do da do dee, and then the same thing, same pattern, like a half step, a whole step away. Oh, my trombone's in the other room, so I can't actually play it right now. But it's in my book, the first book, Get Ahead. So yeah, I borrowed those. I mean, I guess I don't know if they're common or unknown, but they're basically lip slurs where you skip partials. So it's like you can use any three partials and kind of say like bottom, top, middle. So B flat, F, and then top, bottom, middle. So it's kind of inverse of one another. Boo, dee, do, dee, do, da. You repeat the whole thing down a half step. So second and fourth, third and fifth, fifth and seventh, sixth and yeah, you can't do anything with that. But yeah, Dees via James Burton is where I got it from. Yeah, I was gonna say, I know it's not mine. I know that for sure. I definitely stole it, but it's a good one. It's a good one. Let's see. I see a bunch of things happening over here on YouTube. Let's see. Yes, JJ Johnson, Nat live in Yokohama. Yes. How many albums do you know by heart? Really, really by heart? Probably 5. Only like 5 or 10 at the most. I think that you can only know super deep, like so much stuff, you know, like you can't know everything for everyone at all times, you know, but those are early records that were on repeat, you know, JJ in person or / trombone master, like that. I know 100% by heart to the octet record. There's that some of those Joshua Redman Elastic Band records. I know those by heart for sure. Bright Size Life, Pat Metheny, some of those Brecker records, Pilgrimage, you know. So anyway. Okay, I see this, Peter. I'll get your question 1 second. So Alton asked a question here about publishing books. I have a nonprofit, and the nonprofit has a publishing arm, and so we have a publishing company that goes through there. You can, I mean, there's a lot that you can self-publish. There's tools on Amazon to publish. But it's the same, it's similar to like setting up a record label or something like that. You set up a publishing company that, you know, handles all of that stuff and handles the distribution and handles the royalties and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I do it. We set it up. Our nonprofit's called the Institute for Creative Music, and so it's called the IFCM Press. And so it's just like one arm of what we do. I have distributed through Jamie Aebersold before, the first book, and that was just by reaching out and asking. You just ask, hey, I have this book. Do you want to sell it? And they say, okay, sure. Send us 5 copies or 10 copies. And then you see if it ends up selling, and then they'll order more. Or you do it yourself just with PDFs, you know. Chad Lefkowitz-Brown doing a great job just doing that through his website, Jazz Lesson Videos. I mean, he doesn't like go through a bookstore. Adam Larson, same deal, self-published, all of that. What's up, Demetrius? Accept your offer to UNT already, man. It still says pending. What are you waiting for? So yeah, that's that. Oh, hey, Virgil, what's happening? How many hours do you just listen to jazz albums in a typical week? Is there some order to the types of jazz you should listen to? Pick one. My recommendation is to pick one record and learn it inside and out, whatever it might be. Something that you really love and something that you can listen to just that for a long time. So back when it was easier to just listen to one thing, like having a CD in your CD player in the car, it would just be one CD for months at a time. And I would just listen to one CD over and over and over, which makes it easier. Oh, Demetrius, yes. Welcome. Excited for that. Thanks for being here, DJ. See you later. Yeah, one record, dive deep, and make sure it's something related to what you're learning, so that way you're kind of getting it both together, whatever you're transcribing, because it's easy to get distracted and kind of go in a million directions and listen to a million different things. So because you're always going to have people telling you to listen to a million different things. And this same advice goes to my students. Like, I'm going to tell them stuff. Other faculty is going to tell them stuff. And like, you've got to kind of sift through it and figure out like, all right, I'm going to focus on this right now. Like, do I need to be learning standards? Do I need to be learning post bop? Do I need to be learning hard bop? Do I need to be learning Louis Armstrong? Do I need to be, what am I trying to get into my brain right now? And kind of taking, again, like chapters or phases. You know, there was deep dive into JJ Ellington at the beginning, and then it was a deep dive into Wycliffe Gordon for me, and then it was no trombone for like 4 years, where I was like, no way. And then my senior year at Eastman, I was like, no, JJ is awesome. Curtis is awesome. And I had to kind of flip back around and kind of then go back into that. So I think it's fine to have chapters where you're listening to stuff on your instrument and then not, and then back and then forth. And you got to figure it out. So deep, not wide. That's my answer. Hope that helps. All right. I got to go backwards. Peter, that was a good question. There we go. What was it about jazz that ignited the fire? Was there a particular moment? I know the moment was being in New York and being 13 years old and being on stage and playing Ellington's music to a bunch of enthusiastic jazz lovers. I mean, it was also for, people like the Lincoln Center guys and whoever was there that was adjudicating that competition at that time. But that was it. And just the energy of the city and everything, and just like the legacy of like, this is it. This is where jazz happens. And that just inspired me. Whether or not that was 100% true, I don't know. But that's what kind of legend went into my brain. And I just went from there and wanted to reach that. And so I kept that in mind. And then kind of my awareness kind of grew. But that was the moment. That was it for me. Was getting into Duke's music first and then going to New York. That first time going to New York. Like I grew up in Rochester, New York, which is like 6 hours away, 300 miles or so from New York City. And, we went one time as a kid, but I didn't think anything special. But going there to play music was totally different experience for me. And it was totally, it changed everything. I wanted to be a classical trombone player. I wanted to get into the orchestra and play trombone and do that whole thing. And that just changed everything. And I had a good friend and he was into jazz and we kind of flip-flopped. Like he got into classical stuff like way more. He was a bass trombonist and he went to Eastman also for classical stuff and was killing it. He had some problems later on. He doesn't play anymore, but like chop stuff, unfortunately, was not necessarily his fault, but yeah, so at any rate, that was it. That was the moment, the fire. That was it. All right, let's see. Ben Crowder. I want to make sure I get to some people who aren't always here. Thanks for being here, Ben. Advice on practicing upper register expansion, fourth ledger line, B flat and above, while balancing fatigue and minimizing bad. Okay. I'll say it, and I've said it, and I've put it in a YouTube video before. Play melodies in the upper register to improve your upper register. Stop playing exercises, play tunes, play melodies, and play them through until you're tired, and then take a break. It's actually much simpler than we think. In my experience, when I was really focused on it, I would practice it at the end of the day, so when I was already tired, and then focus on moving the air, getting the notes out via the air, realizing how you can feel your chops fatiguing, and knowing that, okay, more air, more air, more air, more air, and playing long tones in the upper register and tunes in the upper register. And eventually, of course, exercises in the upper register, extending your normal stuff. It's got to be just the normal stuff, because if it's not just the normal stuff, you're going to end up with all kinds of inconsistencies across the board, like it's got to be really consistent with the rest of your register. So, I mean, you asked about not moving around and stuff. Well, that comes from, extending into the upper register. But like one really great, I like to use the first phrase or the first A section from Getting Sentimental. You can put the last A, it doesn't matter. And then going up in half steps. That's a really good one because it goes an octave. A full octave, so you can connect, like it's in D, so you can connect that C sharp, low C sharp, D, F sharp, A up to the high C sharp, and then if you keep going, you can connect it that mid upper register to the high register, and then for sustained notes, I like to use how insensitive, because it's just long notes, man. Right? So if you start on the high A, it's in D minor usually. So if you start on the fifth and then you can play that. And so I would just sometimes even turn on the play along track and be like, all right, I'm going to play this melody like 3 times or 4 times in the upper register to build it up. For me, it's a balance between, actually you do need some musculature here in the corners to like hold that when you get tired. to not let the air leak out. But then at the same time, it's about the air and the focusing of the air. And I found through my time with Steve Troy that some of the problems I would have with the upper register had to do with the vowel sound, and that I didn't have my tongue raised enough, and I had never thought about it. So like dee 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 instead of like da in the same notes. Like it's so much space, it's like too much inside your mouth to actually do it. Hope that helps, Ben. Peter, yeah, man, it was like a crazy thing, but that was it. That was it for me. That was what got me going. What's up, Matt? What's up, Marcio? What's up, Ryan? Thanks for joining. Feel free to drop in questions on Instagram. I've got a lot from YouTube today, which is awesome. But we can take them from anywhere, so feel free to drop those in. Let's see. Virgil, Osvaldo, Espinoza, hello. Yeah, you're welcome, Ben. Let's see. Brian asked a question. Okay. How did you balance deep diving into the artists you like and deep diving into artists that are important to jazz overall? Oh, good question. At the beginning, it was only stuff I liked. And that was, like I said, JJ, Ellington, and Wycliffe Gordon. That was it. And then I had a phase of the Bad Plus. I remember I remember this actually, it's kind of funny. We went on a college visit to Miami, University of Miami, and we went to a record store, and the first record, it was Orange, forget what it's called, the first big one, the first major label one that they had, because I learned recently they had some other ones before that, but that first major label record from Bad Plus, and my mom hated it. She hated it, and I liked it. She thought it sounded like noise, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And like they are playing some noise, but they're playing rock tunes and this and that and all this stuff, and I was just like, whoa. And so that's when I started exploring beyond, like beyond just trombone stuff. But balancing, but it was huge for me just listening to trombone from the beginning. And when somebody says like, you should listen to this, like you should, and you should transcribe and use it educationally, and just learn it. Because there's a thing about music and familiarity, and this is why why pop music on the radio has worked for a long time, and why payola was a thing. Like people like familiar music. They like to hear stuff that they've heard before. That's why there's algorithms that produce pop music now that sounds exactly like what pop music sounds like, is because people like the familiarity. So if you actually trick yourself by listening more and more and more, you'll actually like it because you've heard it more, even if you don't like it at first. There was a deep dive I did with Chick Corea. Now he sings, now he sobs. Excuse me. That was a big one. But yeah, you can trick yourself into liking something by listening to it a lot. So even if you're like, I don't know if I like this, like you can say, there's something in here that I like. There's got to be something. And another one, Herbie Hancock, Speak Like a Child. Just listened to that on repeat for a long time. That was in the phase of like going away from trombone before I came back to being like JJ. Oh, I've lost track of the question now. But balance between deep diving, the artists I like. Yeah, so I mean, you always got to go back. A friend of mine, Joe McDonough, great trombonist, we did a duo, a two trombone record together. If you haven't heard it, and he teaches at Temple now. He's from Philly, so he's back home. But Joe said to me one time when we were in grad school, we went to Juilliard together. When I was in a funk, he's like, man, you just got to listen to the records you like. I was like, oh. And I did. Put me in a better mood. And I was like, oh, he's just totally right. You have to have stuff you like. And you just go back to that. There's stuff you're learning. There's stuff you're learning for gigs. There's stuff that you're learning for school. And then there's the stuff that you love, I mean, the first thing you have to do when you get out of school is get rid of the word and idea of should. It's a trap. Like, I should do this. I should do that. I should learn this. I should learn that. And it's like, yeah, well, if you want to have a well-rounded education, then yes, there's like a number of things that you probably should learn. However, you can't know everything and you can't learn everything. So you have to be selective. You only have so much time, at the same thing, like the same other side of the coin is that there's only so much time. So you have to balance it out. So I didn't balance it. I go hardcore on one thing and then hardcore on another. I guess is the actual answer, is that I don't balance it. Have you played the Bach cello suites? Yes. D flat and G flat major scales, F and sixth. F and sixth all the way, baby. Sixth position. You got to use the middle of the slide. Third bass, I use third bass. Third and fourth is home base. Check it out. Switch your mindset. If you make third home base instead of first, your whole life will change on the trombone. Suspicious activity. I think that's the orange one. Yeah, that could be it. I don't remember the title, but Jack's back now. He's on Facebook, and yes, I can tell. Let's see. So Instagram, feel free to drop in questions if you have any. I thought I had the question thing turned on, but maybe I don't. But yeah, I love playing the Bach cello suites. Really great for connecting, playing legato, connecting the registers. And then what I did is take that concept and apply it to jazz tunes in the book that's called Get Set. Yeah, it's a book of etudes. Note, you cannot play F in fifth position. That note does not exist in fifth position. So that's the thing that I liked doing, was taking the concept of practicing those and applying it to jazz tunes. And then the next step beyond that is try to improvise in a way that sounds like a Bach cello suite, but over a standard. So that's a challenge that I've taken on many times when I get bored with a tune. Like, can I play this a la Bach cello suite? So you just get rid of all the bebop rhythms and just focus on practicing the that concept, that idea. What's up, Chuck? Let's see, join in on Instagram. So Anthony, no, you cannot play F in fifth position. Jared, what's up, Jared? Thanks for being here. What kind of books and resources do you have your students use to work on jazz fundamentals? I have them transcribe. I don't have them use books. The best thing you can do is throw away all the books. There's good books. I don't mean that literally, but there's lots of great transcription books and etude books and different ideas around, jazz materials. But again, I will reiterate, learn transcriptions, learn it from the players, do 10 JJ, 10 Curtis, 10 slide, 10 of your favorite, 10 off of your instrument. That's 50 transcriptions, and you're going to be way ahead of like buying 10 books. I'll tell you that, 100%. So yeah, sorry to be blunt there, Jared, but just get rid of the books. Don't worry about books. Just go to the records. The records have all the information. All the information. Do that, learn how to play some basic piano, and you're going to be well on your way to being a great jazz musician. And just listen. Somebody asked last week what do I listen for in an audition when there's young players coming in to audition for UNT? And my answer is always, I listen to see if they listen to jazz. That's it, pretty much. Do they listen to jazz? Do they have some basic fundamentals on the trombone? And then, there's like, are they coachable? This kind of thing. Also, but it's all about listening and learning right from the records. So, all right, I just got a couple minutes left. I've got another meeting on the top of the hour, so feel free to drop in any other questions for this week, or we will catch up with you next week. So next week is the 9th, April 9th. We're here every Friday at 1 p.m. We have been for over a year. I think I took a couple weeks off, but we're in 63, 64 territory of episodes. So if you like this format, you can go back on YouTube and find them all. They're all there, and lots of questions. And we've been putting the questions with the timestamp, so you can go right to just the question that you want to listen to. So, Curtis Fuller jazz tune. I like a couple. Why is it slipping? I did it as a duo with Leon Boykins. Why is it slipping my brain, the name of the song? I like a la mode. That's a good one. You mean compositions or tunes that Curtis played on? Because Curtis did not write Blue Train, Anthony. Finzer, Leon Boykins. I'm going to feel so stupid when I find this. The Court. That's one of my favorite ones. That's a great one. The Court. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. Ooh, so yeah. Oh man, we should play that in lessons this week. Watch out, Jack, or any of the other students. If Jack Timmons is still watching, watch out. We're gonna pull out The Court next week. That's a fun one. Cool. Any other questions before we wrap it up for this week? I know there's a little delay here. Tunes you can't stand. Girl from Ipanema. Does that count? No, I can stand that one. Blue Boss, I guess, on my nerves sometimes. Not because it's not a good tune, but just it gets overplayed and overplayed badly. There's actually a bunch of tunes for big band that I can't stand, but I'm not going to air that out here because it's not fair to those people. Because they're written for a specific purpose to like engage young musicians, and they just drive me insane because they're not about what I'm about, which is, you know, the swing and learning the vocabulary and the style and all that kind of stuff. So kind of gets in the way to me a little bit, but alas, it's all good. All right, man. All right, everybody. Sorry, I was saying all right, man, to Anthony. He says, nope, I think we're good. No more questions, which is wonderful. Yeah, Giant Steps is pretty repetitive. That's true. We're going to sign off for today, and we'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you might be. Make sure you go get vaccinated when you can so that we can move on with 2021 and hopefully get back to some live performances. There's the inkling of some things coming in the fall, but I am hesitant to say that they're really happening. So hopefully we will see you all back on the road in the fall. But have a great weekend, and I'll catch you soon.